Heyo, Heinz, what are you up to today?
Well, it's the peak sports season right now. I know we have opening day of Major League Baseball. We got a lot of college basketball going on. We got a lot of college hockey going on. The National Hockey League, also known as NHL, is getting close to playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
The NBA, also known as the National Basketball Association, is getting close to playoffs. The NFL draft is coming up at some point. So I figured what we would do is we'd have you provide a 60-second sports update to get all of the listeners up to date on the latest and greatest in sports. So go ahead, take it away, Jake.
Well, sure thing. The Arsenal Football Club in the English Premier League is currently on top of the table with 9 games remaining, with 8 points in front of Manchester City and a comfortable 19-point lead over Manchester United. The Seattle Sounders are currently in second place in the Western Conference, and the Portland Timbers are about 8th place. So there's my update. That's what I've got.
And thank you for that update on the latest in NBA, college basketball, college hockey, Major League Baseball, and all other sports. That's a great update, Jake. We greatly appreciate that.
My pleasure.
I think about the only thing this podcast is an expert on and related to athletics is things that are funny or things that really stand out. Because I have not watched a single NCAA basketball game. Major League Baseball, they now have a pitch clock, which sounds kind of boring to me.
Yep.
So I don't know. The only thing I feel like we should do a sports theme podcast, but I mean, the only thing I can come up with is like some way to like make fun of sports.
Sure. I like that. I like that plan. Kind of like, I know you didn't do an NCAA bracket this year, and I haven't done one in several years, but I always liked hearing about people who weren't very interested in NCAA basketball, but competed in March Madness every year. And their strategy was to determine which mascot could eat the other mascot. And that's how they would pick their winners. And so they would get, terrible results. But I always found that a really fun approach. And I was actually kind of thinking maybe one of these years for March Madness, I'm going to do that. I'm going to join in and follow the eat method.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's do it. Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
All right, let's hit that music and we're going to talk some sports today. Here we go. We are back from the music and we've got a sports theme today. We're going to be talking about mascots. Heinz, take it away. What do you got?
Okay. So we're both children of the 90s, and I just want to check and see when it comes to mascots, the first thing I think about, do you remember the all white baseball caps, we'll call them, that people would wear that always had mascots or nicknames on the crown of it or whatever?
Yeah.
That's where I learned nicknames or mascots to teams. Okay. Now, some of my favorites, I don't know if you remember these, but there are a lot of popular ones. Like for the Miami Hurricanes, the hat just said Canes on it.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah. Or another real popular one, obviously, because of the kind of the connection, was the University of Southern California just said Trojans on it.
Okay.
Now, my personal favorite was one for Long Beach State that had sandbaggers across the front, or it just said the beach.
The beach.
Yeah. Or there was another really good one called the Slugs. Don't remember what team that was for.
Oh yeah, it's the Santa Cruz Banana Slugs.
Oh, okay. The Stompers. No idea. Don't remember that one. The Flying Squirrels. I actually own that one.
Oh,
and then there was
one.
the Ragin' Cajuns, which I think is Louisiana Lafayette.
Yeah.
But
you're right. The Ragin' Cajuns.
Yeah. But that just kind of, just a primer if you remember that. I don't know if you had any of those hats. I did have a few of them because they were kind of cool looking, and they're still available from the vendor The Game. That's what they come
Ooh,
from, The Game.
okay. Okay. I didn't have one of those hats, but I do have one. There's a very, it's got to be bottom of the barrel minor league baseball team here in Portland, and they call themselves the Portland Pickles. And
Ooh,
so I have a little hat that has a little picture of a pickle wearing a baseball hat. It's pretty funny. I like that one a lot. What a great mascot, the Pickles. I don't know how they got that name.
minor league baseball does a really good job of coming up with some great mascots.
Incredible mascots. Like you get away from like your standard Panthers and Lions into just some super weird stuff. I love it. Like for example, Montgomery biscuits, just a random
Mhm,
food item. Okay, just like the
mhm.
pickles. The food seems to be a very common theme in baseball. Yeah.
A lot of those cities have something historic associated with them, like the Albuquerque isotopes because of all the
Yes.
nuclear research and all that kind of stuff. So
Well,
that's a good one.
did you know that the Albuquerque isotopes actually got their name because on The Simpsons in the 90s, Springfield, their baseball team, would go play Albuquerque. And the team name on The Simpsons was the Albuquerque Isotopes. And
That
so,
is a creative name.
yeah, isn't that great? Isn't that fun?
How about, speaking of fun, the Toledo Mud Hens,
Ooh, yeah.
which I think is a real, I think it's a real bird. I do think it's real.
I think you're right. Yeah, that sounds right. Well, what we meant to say is we don't know, but it sounds right. How about the Modesto Nuts? Another food theme. Or it could be something
Interesting.
else if your mind goes to the gutter, but I think it's
Yeah,
probably
it's
the
true.
food. Yeah.
How about Chattanooga Lookouts? A very popular minor league baseball hat back in the day. Very
Okay.
popular.
Right on. I like this one a lot. The Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp.
Mm, they sound kind of good.
Yeah, sounds delicious.
Keeping it down in the south, how about the Shreveport Captains? And I actually have a unique connection to the Captains. A substitute teacher of mine in high school actually played for the Captains while he was our substitute teacher. So he would show up during the winter, and his wife was from the area and she had a job there. And she would, or he would substitute teach and just tell stories about minor league baseball, which was
Okay.
actually quite cool. It made government class go a lot better.
That's funny. That's great. Another common theme that I found is auto parts, car parts. Like you have the Detroit Pistons, car part, but then there's
Mhm,
also the Wichita Wing Nuts and the
mhm.
Lansing Lug Nuts. So very small
Yeah,
tools.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
interesting.
Another one, gambling or local fun things. The Reno Aces for
Ah,
gambling.
yeah, gambling theme. Very good.
Mhm.
How about this one? This is completely random, but it is the Scottsdale, which I'm assuming is in Arizona, the Scottsdale Community College Fighting Artichokes. How
Yep,
does an
yep.
artichoke fight? I guess they do on the baseball diamond.
It's true. It's true. The Las Vegas 51s for Area 51.
Ah,
Ooh,
yeah,
aliens.
yeah. All right, the last funny one I have, it's called the Traverse City Beach Bums, which is, I believe, in Michigan. And I was surprised to hear they have a lot of beaches. I guess they do with the Great Lakes being right there. So I guess that
Yeah,
does make
yeah,
sense. But the beach bums, yeah, there you go.
yeah. One last one. The Mudcats of Carolina. And I think a mudcat is legit. I think that is a legit fish.
Oh, it's a fish. Okay. So I thought it
Hmm.
was like like a little bobcat that just hangs out in the mud all day.
Nope, I think it's a catfish. I think it's a catfish.
So those are some really funny ones. I also have a little list of what I think are some of the worst team mascots in all sports. And my first one, and I think you mentioned this before we started recording today, is the Utah Jazz.
Hmm.
They moved from New Orleans. They were called the New Orleans Jazz, I think. And then they moved to Utah, but never changed the name. And Jazz has nothing to do with Utah. It's so stupid. And plus, like a style of music, that's weird. Like maybe we should start a baseball team and Sioux Falls. We'll call it the Sioux Falls punk rock. It's so
It's
weird
true.
and random. Yeah.
That would be a good one. That would be a good one. A lot of teams that moved like never got rid of their nickname. So the New Orleans Jazz became the Utah Jazz, and then the Charlotte Hornets, and I think this is still the name, became the New Orleans Hornets, right?
Uh-huh. Right.
Does that make
Yeah.
any sense? They're not there. Are there Hornets in New Orleans?
Well, did they change their name to? They're not.
Are they the Pelicans now? Are
They're
they
the
the Pelicans?
Pelicans
They're
now, yeah.
Pelicans.
Yeah.
There we go. See, but they were the Hornets for a little while, I
Yeah,
think.
I mean, they got some common sense. Like, oh, yeah, the brown pelican is the state bird of New Orleans. How I know that is completely random, but yeah, they actually did change it. But like the LA Lakers, there's really no lakes in LA. They came from Minnesota, where there's the
Came from
land of
Minneapolis.
10,000 lakes. Yeah, but so some of them just don't make sense. Or how about this one? This one's just so boring. It is the Cleveland Browns. It was just named after the guy who founded the team, whose name was
Mhm.
Brown, like Paul Brown or something like that. We're just gonna call him my last name, and then our mascot's gonna be a random dog. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got the Arizona Cardinals that were originally the St. Louis Cardinals, I believe,
Uh-huh.
in the NFL. Baseball and football in the town had the same name. Like, can't they change it to something else? Like, I get it, the legacy. I mean, one of the greatest all-time NFL nicknames got totally taken apart, and that is the Houston Oilers.
Yeah.
They had the cool oil Derek helmet sticker or whatever. And I can't remember, did they go by the Tennessee Oilers for a little while when they moved from Houston to Tennessee, or were they go
Did
right
they?
to Titans?
I think
I
they
wanna
went
say
right
they
to
did.
Titans. Yeah, I think they did.
I remember Eddie George, who I don't think played for the Houston Oilers. Maybe he did, but I just remember he had an oil Derek jersey on one time. But that was like the coolest because it had the baby blue and the
Yeah,
red.
that was sick. Those are super
It
cool.
was cool.
And now the team in Houston, like the Houston Texans, it's like
Eh.
who was their creative team for that?
Yeah.
Was it just one guy sitting by himself in a dark room eating Cheetos? Like, I just want to go home. Let's call them. What state are we in? The Texans. Done. I'm going home.
Yeah.
So lame.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you on that. Just like the Bengals. Is there a Bengal anywhere around Cincinnati? Like,
Why?
how does that come about?
Was there one in a zoo that was really famous or something? Like, it doesn't make sense. One that is not aging well, and it's a relatively new team to professional sports, the Nashville Predators. That is not a good name. That is not a good word in modern English language in the United States.
No.
Not a good word. Not aging well.
No, you might want to change that one. Kind of like I think they were the Minnesota North Stars, or it might have been Minneapolis North Stars. When they moved to Dallas, they dropped the North because obviously that wouldn't make any sense in the South, and just became the Stars. Very creative. That's a very creative one.
Yeah. And my least favorite is on the same theme. Back to Minnesota and their current hockey team, the Minnesota Wild. What a stupid name. And what a stupid logo. What is it? It's like a panther head that has a moon on it, and maybe a tree or something. Like, how did they come up with the Wild? What's wild about Minnesota? Not a whole lot. Maybe a crazy blizzard. That's pretty wild. Ooh. But then how do you get a cat and a moon and call it the Wild? It doesn't make, please, for anyone from Minnesota who's into hockey and you know the story, like, let us know, like, what are we missing here? It doesn't make sense. It's not a good name.
No, there's a long explanation behind it, because I believe it's short for actually wilderness, but they turned it into wild, trying to make it whatever. But they have a lot of problems in Minnesota with their mascots, like a timber wolf. I get it, but my favorite way of referring to them is the lumber mutts. As lumber, as in timber, wolf as in a mutt, like a dog.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
also call the Minnesota Wild actually the Mild. I kind of shorten it up. I take the M from Minnesota, drop the W, and just call them the Mild
We're
because,
going to the mild game. That's good.
yeah, yeah. I think we do need to pay respects to one of the greatest mascots or nicknames ever to exist that went away from us, and hopefully makes a comeback in the NBA, and that is the Seattle Supersonics.
Speaking of basketball, an actual physical mascot, the guy, the Denver Nuggets had it was like a mountain lion. How they came up with that is kind of weird, but his name is Rocky. And all those years ago, when I lived in Denver, I'd go to Nuggets games all the time, and Rocky the mascot would just be running around causing shenanigans and doing like crazy backwards half-word, like I can't even speak, crazy backwards half-court shots.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of like legendary mascots that we kind of forget exist. Can you think of any?
Well, they had the bear for the Jazz, and like he would do like crazy dunks on a trampoline and stuff like that. And I want to say he did one where he like went through the hoop somehow or something. There was some crazy thing he did. I don't remember a lot of it, but yeah, I mean, do they still have, other than in Philadelphia, do they still have a lot of live mascots, so to speak?
I think
Anywhere?
there's a decent amount. Like the Phoenix Suns have that gorilla, which is completely random,
Yeah.
but the gorilla is pretty cool.
Yeah.
One that I saw that I think is potentially the only human mascot that exists, and I was ragging on Minnesota before, but I think this one's kind of cool, is that the Minnesota Vikings have a guy named Ragnar. Does that sound familiar to you? Who like comes out onto the field on a motorcycle or something like that, and he's all dressed up in Viking gear. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah. They, unfortunately though, they fired him.
Oh, they did? Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. It was a big deal like 3 or 4 years ago. I think he wanted more money, and they're like, nah, we're good. We'll just hire someone to wear like a Viking helmet looking thing. So
we're all
yeah,
set.
it's unfortunate. Okay. Yeah, it's
Oh, that's too
unfortunate,
bad.
but
We should start a GoFundMe to get Ragnar back. I'm down with that.
Yeah. What's the Philadelphia Flyers? You know, the NHL team, they have a crazy mascot, don't they? That runs around and like gets in fights. Yeah, because
That's great.
they have the Fanatic, because the Fanatic is at Phillies games.
Yeah.
The baseball team. I cannot remember what the Flyers mascot is. He like, I think it's like a penguin or something like that. It looks like, or a duck or something. Yeah, I can't remember exactly, but we need more mascots out there. Live mascots running around doing crazy things, because it's just, I don't know, it's kind of fun.
And I really love the Philly Fanatic because the Fanatic makes an appearance on my favorite show of all time. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and gets into a fist fight with one of the characters. So I really like the Fanatic for that. That was epic. And
that seems to be a common theme in Philadelphia.
Right? Yeah, fights. Oh, Philly fans are brutal, man. And the other one, last one I have on the list, is I totally forgot about this one until I was kind of looking things up on the internet. But Mr. Met, he's a guy in a baseball uniform, then he has a giant baseball for a head. And apparently he's been the mascot of the Mets since 1963. Like, that's a long time.
Wow. Yeah. Do we have to quickly pay our respects to the greatest league for giving nicknames out? And that is, and then we won't, it's not a league, but in general, minor league hockey. I don't know if you have any of those on your list, but I will go through my favorite 5.
No, I don't have any, so hit us with them.
All right. Youngstown Steelhounds. Okay, that's a pretty good one. The Orlando Solar Bears. Like, these are legit mascots.
What is a solar bear?
It's a polar bear, but solar, Jake. Not polar bears, solar bears. Okay. The Charlotte Checkers. See, they can get away with the violence side of it. Oh, the Charlotte Checkers. The Syracuse Crunch. Now that's a good one. That's a good one.
What does it mean?
And then my all-time
cereal? Like they really like cereal, or those like
like getting crunched when you get hit.
Bars. Oh, okay,
no. It's like getting hit. And it's hockey. It's hockey.
Okay.
And then the best one, the Florida Everblades.
Those are some pretty good plays on words. I like that. Yeah.
They do a good job with it. They do a very good job with it.
All right. Well, that's all I got for mascots. Do you have anything else you want to share?
Other than the Kent State Golden Hurricanes, nope, nope. I just wanted to end on that one.
Golden Hurricanes. That's great. All right. Well, we're going to get out of here for the week. We'll be back next week with something fun and original, I assume. So until then, have a safe, happy week, and we will check you later next time. Bye.
Bye.